All right, so today's lesson was on standard division. So last year, your fourth grade teacher probably taught you lots of different methods to divide, and you're welcome to use any method that you're comfortable with, but I'm going to show you the standard method for the standard algorithm. Now, we're going to practice today dividing 3-digit numbers by a 1-digit number, and we're going to use the acronym Does McDonald's serve cheese burgers? Now for math, we know that these acronyms just help us to remember the steps in our algorithm. The D in does is going to remind us to divide. The M is going to remind us to multiply. The S is going to remind us to subtract. The CH is going to remind us to check. And the B is going to remind us to bring down. Now I'm going to review those steps as I divide 175 divided by 7. So you want to grab your multiplication chart to go through this process. The first step that we're going to do is we're going to divide 1 into 7. So how many times can the number 7 go into 1? Now when you go to your row of 7s, you'll see that the first multiple is 7. So 1 is too small, so we have to go over to 17. How many times can 7 go into 17 without being too big? So I'll start at my 7 and I'll scroll over, and I have 7, 17, and 21. The closest I can get to it is 14 because 21 is too big. 7 goes into 14 2 times. So you put your 2 at the top of your paper up there, and that is your division step. After you divide, you're going to multiply. 2 times 7 equals 14. After you multiply, you are going to subtract. 7 minus 4 equals 3, and 1 minus 1 equals 0. There's no need to put the 0 there. After we subtract, we're going to check. What I want to check is to make sure that my number here, my difference, is smaller than the number that I'm dividing by. Is 3 less than 7? If it is smaller, that means you are correct in the process. If for some reason we subtract and we got 8 or 9 or something larger than 7, that would be a good indication that I did not make this number up here large enough. Since 3 is smaller than 7, I've checked. I'm now going to bring down the next digit, which is a 5. Now I'm going to repeat the process and divide again. I'm going to ask myself, how many times can 7 go into 35? I'll go to my multiplication chart. I'll go to my row of 7s, and I want to get as close to 35 as possible. If I scroll over, it goes into 35 evenly, and it goes in 5 times. So I'll put my 5 at the top, and I'll multiply. 5 times 7 equals 35. After I multiply, my job is to then subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. 3 minus 5 is 0. I can check, is 0 less than 7? That means my work was correct. Bring down, I have no other digits to bring down, so 25 is my quotient. Every single time we have a division problem, we're going to check with multiplication. I'm going to take my quotient, 25, and I'm going to multiply it times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 3 more is 15, 16, and 17. And if you get 175, that means your quotient was correct. Okay, let's try again with one more example. We have 144 divided by 4. This time I'm not going to write out the whole acronym, but not going to write out the whole phrase, but just the letters. Does McDonald's sell cheese burgers? Divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. So I'll take my multiplication chart, and this time I am looking at my row of 4s. I'll just darken those so they're a little bit easier to see. Okay. I'll start by dividing and asking myself, how many times can 4 go into 1? Again, if the 1 is too small, we have to go to the second digit. How many times can 4 go into 14? I'll go to my row of 4s, and I want to get as close to 14 as I can without getting too big. So the closest multiple is 12, and that 4 goes into 12 3 times. So I'll put my 3 at the top. That was my division step, and now we'll multiply. 3 times 4 equals 12. After we multiply, we can subtract. 4 minus 2 equals 2. After we subtract, we can check. Is 2 less than 4? If it is, we are correct, and we can move on to the next step of bringing down the next digit. Once I get to this point, I will repeat and start dividing again. I want to ask myself, how many times can 4 go into 24? I want to get the closest multiple without going too big. I have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 24. So it goes into 24 evenly, a total of 6 times. We'll put the 6 on the top. That was our division step, and now we'll multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. We can subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. Is 0 less than 4? Yes. Do I have anything to bring down? I don't have any other digits, so my quotient should be 36. Remember, we're going to check every problem with multiplication because it is the inverse operation. We're going to multiply 36 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24. The 4 and carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14, which is correct. Okay, make sure you go into Schoology and solve your standard division problems for today.